goal.
Coaching with an outcome. Okay, you know what? I actually like that. And I respect you for that, because that's a better answer than what most people would say. How I like to internalize sales, okay, is it's change. Right? This is what Jeremy Miner talks about. Sales is change, right? It's change. You're helping somebody change, okay? But more than anything, sales is simply just helping somebody make a decision. Okay. So sales is you helping the other person make a decision. I'll tell you why. Can we agree on this? If the person didn't want to work with you at all and had no interest in getting more clients or anything to do with your service, could we agree that they would not book the call?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
So
wouldn't
therefore,
book the call, yeah.
exactly. So therefore, they have to have some level of interest to be on the call in the first place. Okay. That's belief number one we have to have, is they're on that call because they want to buy. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. Okay? Here's the other catch, is if they already knew exactly what they wanted and were dead set on that you were the best one, they would have already bought, correct? They would already paid you the Stripe invoice if they already knew, correct?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we can establish that the reason why they're on the sales call in the first place is because they want to buy, but they aren't yet sure about the decision. And so your job as a salesman, which I hate the word salesman, closer, etc. Your job as a coach, your job as an advisor, your job as a consultant, your job on the sales call is to help that person make the best decision for them. Now, let me ask you this. How do you help somebody make a better decision?
You consult them and you teach them and give them more information.
Yes, but how can you, before we even do that, before we can even give the person advice, what else do we need to know to give good advice?
You have to have knowledge and expertise, authority.
Yes, that's part of it, but let me give you an example. If you go to the doctor's office, okay, you go to the doctor, you're going there because of this, right? You wouldn't go there, let's put it this way, you wouldn't go there if you didn't have a problem, right? If your head didn't hurt, you wouldn't go there. And if you knew why your head was hurting and you knew the medication that would solve it, you would just go to the pharmacy and buy it. So the only reason why you're going to the doctor is because you want his advice and guidance on what decision to make because you're unsure. Kind of similar like a sales call. Let's take it a step further. When you go to the doctor's office, does he do this? Hey, Omar. Yep, this one's for you. Does he do that?
No.
No. Okay. So he doesn't just say, here's what you need. Okay. He doesn't just pitch his service. What's the first thing he does when you enter his office? What does he do?
He asks you questions, figures out
Bingo! Bingo, bingo, bingo. You just won the Grammys, okay? Or whatever big award. He asks you a question. Now let me ask you again, because a lot of people don't understand this. Why does he ask you the questions?
so he can figure out the problem that
Boom.
he's going to solve with the antidote.
And why does he need to know the problem?
So he doesn't give you the wrong diagnosis.
Perfect. Right?
And
He
he can
needs to
help-
know the problem so he can give you the best advice. So that he can help you solve the actual problem that it is. So, now we understand, okay, that they're on the call because they want to buy, they just don't have a good enough reason to yet, and they need help making a decision. And then we understand that to help somebody make a decision, we have to understand their current situation, we have to understand what they're going through, we have to understand the problems we have to understand the solution they want, and we have to make them take action. That's a step above, which we'll talk about later, okay? We have to help them commit. But now we know that on the sales call, what is one thing that we must do?
Ask questions to figure
Boom.
out their problems.
Yes, we must ask questions. Most people don't even understand why they have to ask a question. You now know we're asking questions to help get a better understanding so we can help them make a better decision. Not many people know this. As a matter of fact, nobody in this call knew this. If they did, they'd have the cameras on and with a baller set up behind them. Okay? So I know everyone's got their cameras off, but they're sitting here like, whoa, what? Okay? So, now you know, and you're better than 99% of the people in this Discord server and anywhere, okay, because you now know why we ask questions. Most people don't understand why they ask questions. If you don't understand why you ask the question, what's the point of asking in the first place? You now know. Now, okay, great. What kind of questions do we ask? That's a great question, right? That's a great question to ask. The kind of questions we ask, this is where I would encourage you to start looking into Jeremy Miner, learning a bit about sales, learning a bit about human behavior, learning a bit about what it takes to help somebody make a decision, and how we actually progress and push the sale forward. Now, you only have 25 minutes. I'll condense it down. The NDPQ framework, right, which is a great sales framework that Jeremy Miner popularized, basically, which stands for neurological something persuasion questions. It's a sequence of questions that gets somebody into a state where they can then make a decision, right? Okay, cool. Here's what you want to do, is when you hop on the sales call. There is 9 stages. We'll cover the first 5 because they're the most important. Step number 1 is the connection phase. And realize I'm not going to give you a script here. I'm going to give you a framework. And so it's super easy to memorize because it's just a questioning framework. And it's questions. It's not a script, it's questions. It's beautiful, okay? Step number 1, why are they on the call? Literally, hey, what made you want to jump on the call? What specifically are you looking for? Find out their overarching goal of why they're on the call. Take the focus off of you, right? Take it off of you, put it on them. That's the purpose of the connection phase, to figure out why they're there, okay, get the overarching goal of what they're on the call for, and take the focus off you and on them, okay? And then you also kind of establish yourself as someone who's quite knowledgeable, right? Okay, cool. We've learned something. Now, once we find out their overarching goal, for example, they may just say leads. Sure. Okay. Perhaps later on we could find out that may not be the real thing, but that's good enough for now. Okay, we can move on. Leads is the overarching thing they want to talk about, which most people is kind of the answer they give you. Oh, if I had more leads, all my problems would be solved. Okay, cool. But higher quality leads, more volume, different story. Now we get into something called situation awareness. Right? So think about doctor. Why are you in here today? My head hurts. Okay, cool. What's the next thing he asks you? Well, how long has your head been hurting? What did you do before? Have you had a prior history? The same way that we're going to ask them, okay, lead is your issue, right? We're not going to say this to them, but we're going to say, okay, in our heads, okay, lead might be the issue, lead is the thing. What do you currently do to generate leads? Right? So what are you currently doing? How long have you been doing that? Why did you start doing that? Get a grasp on their current situation, right? So we can understand, where are they currently, right? What is their current state? What's been going on, etc. Right? Because in order for us to help them make a better decision, we have to understand them, right? Which is why there's a famous quote by Alex Hormozi. It's at the prospect that feels the most understood will buy, or something like that. Basically, when the prospect feels understood, they'll buy. And so you have to genuinely listen to their answers, not just be like, oh yeah, cool, let's move on. Genuinely listen, just hear what they're actually saying, right? And sometimes they may say one thing, but it means another thing. So we gotta listen. Listening is key in sales. Right? Okay, cool. We move on. We figured out the current situation. Now we go to the problem. Right? Now, granted, let's say in this case, leads is kind of the issue. Okay, and how long has that been a problem? And how has that been affecting you and your business? And your family? Notice, tonality. This, like I said, we can't cover it all in the next 25 minutes. It's something you really got to work on. Tonality is huge. And there's a lot of other things I'm leaving out that are crucial in sales, but that you can't cover within the next 25 minutes. But just understand, to get the general framework to help somebody make a decision, there's a lot of other nuances and things that go into it, like tonality, right? Like the way you ask the questions, right? If I say, hey, yeah, how long have you been doing that? Or how's that been going? I don't sound very sincere, but if I say, leads, I mean, how long has that been going on? Right? It sounds very sincere and curious. And what does that do? Drop sales resistance. Allows people to invite them to open up. You ever had those closed off prospects, those A-type, and they're like, nope, just tell me the price. Because you've done a bad job with your tonality trying to, get them to open up. Alrighty, cool, we move on. Once we've found the problem, right, you don't move on until you find the problem. Once you find the problem, you then find what is the ideal solution, and what would that look like for them? So what would the solution, what does it ideally look like, and what would it do for them? So we kind of figure out what they're looking for, okay? They might tell you, man, if I get the solution, I can then make $1 million, I can then do this, I can then do that, and my life would be great. Right? You get them on this emotional high of imagining themselves solving the problem, right? And this is where you build the gap of like, oh, here's where you are, here's where you want to be. There's a big gap that we got to fill, right? If you want to help somebody make a decision, the bigger the gap, the better the decision will be. If you tell someone they're going to die tomorrow, you best believe that they're going to buy the medication. If you tell them they're going to buy in 10 years, they might push it off. So the bigger the gap, as in like the more urgent, not the bigger the time frame, the bigger the gap in the urgency, the more likely they will be to make a decision. Okay, we move on. Okay, now once we've kind of figured out the ideal solution, we made them realize, oh my goodness, this is awesome, this is amazing. We then go on to consequence. Now, this is pretty freaking advanced, this whole entire thing, okay? But if you want to get good at sales, you have to learn that the old age of selling is gone, and there's a new model of selling, which is question-based frameworks. And this is how it goes. So if you want to get good at selling, you might as well start learning that. Okay, so consequence. And you're not going to be good at this at first. It can take you a while to understand this entire process. But consequence is where you go, and what if that doesn't happen? Right? Notice the tonality. You can't just say, what if that doesn't happen? Tonality is key. But it's where you make them realize the cost of inaction. It's where you make them realize, and what if it doesn't happen? What if you keep having this problem for the next month, 6 months, years? How would that look? And they go, oh my goodness, my business would fail, my family would die, I would get divorced, and I'd be homeless in 2 years. Right? Now, you've really made them realize that, oh shoot, there's a problem, and there's something that needs to change. Now, that's step number 5. There's more steps after, right? This is where you get into transition, presentation, I forget the 8th one, and then objections, okay? Those don't matter as much because here's the thing, is there's a difference between selling and pitching. And a lot of people just hop on the call to pitch. Here's my services. That's not selling, that's pitching. Pitching should only be about 20% of the entire sales call. Selling should be about 80%. Selling is when you ask them the questions. Most of your calls should be spent asking questions. Now, I know this is information overload. Trust me, because the first time I learned this, I didn't understand any of it. Okay? What I want you to do is, granted your call's in a couple minutes. Okay, you're not going to learn or remember any of this. As a matter of fact, you might not even apply any of this right away. That's fine. Okay? Your goal in that call should just be to understand the prospect. Even if you don't close them or even get to pitch them, literally your goal should be to try and find out what problem they really have. And you do that by questioning and having the right tonality and digging and probing. And it's going to take practice, a lot of practice. Okay? And so I encourage you afterwards to start doing a lot of research into Jeremy Miner, especially. Eli Wild is also really good. Okay, 2 guys I really follow. And really get into what are the fundamentals of sales. Right? Because the fundamentals, right? You gotta learn to walk before you run. You have to. Right? You have to learn to walk before you run. The same way that you got to learn to do a normal layup before you can do a 360 slam dunk. The boring stuff comes first, but it's what's needed because that's what builds your foundation. If you build a house without a foundation, as soon as it rains, it collapses. Okay? The same way that if you try and, build your sales skills without a foundation, as soon as you get hit with an objection or something you're not used to, you're gone. Learn the foundations first. Right? Which is why the first thing I said is, what is sales? Why are they on the sales call? Because if we don't understand that, what's the point? Right? A lot of people don't even understand why somebody's on the sales call. So how are you going to close them if you don't even understand why they're there in the first place or what it's for? Most people bet everyone on this call didn't even know what the point of the sales call was. They just heard book sales calls, so they booked sales calls. I know there's only 3 of you with your cameras on because we're a little scared here. That's okay. I don't bite. But don't be scared. Don't be shy. Put your hand up or type in the chat if you didn't actually know why you booked a sales call, but somebody said book appointments, you just start booking appointments because you heard that's the best way to close someone. Put your hand up if that's kind of your philosophy. I'll tell you mine was at first. If you don't have your hand up, you're a liar. Okay? And the rest of you can type in chat. Me. Right? Everybody's here typing. It's because no one tells us, right? Nobody tells you why to book a sales call or an appointment. They just say book appointment, and you're like, okay, I guess I book an appointment. I talk to them on Zoom, and then I pitch them and I close them. Well, that's what we're told, right? It's like the problem is we're missing out on the entire fundamentals of why are we booking the call. Nobody even understands that, and if you don't understand why you're booking the call, how will you ever close somebody? And that's why the last 13 minutes we've spent talking about why they're on the call and how to structure the call. Okay, so Omar, let's recap. Let me ask you this. Why are they on the call?
To learn about their problem and then get a diagnosis and solve their problem.
Okay, for a better lack of words, sure. What is the purpose of sales? What's the one word that I said sales is?
The purpose of sales is to ask questions.
No, that's not the purpose. That's what we do.
To find the problem. Understand
not really.
The person.
Not good, but not really. It's one word. It starts with a C.
Consultation.
No. Change. The purpose of sales is change, right? Sales is just change. And the purpose of sales is to help somebody make a decision. Right? Let me ask you this. Next little test. What's the first thing you do when they hop on the call? What do?
You say, hey, what prompted you to hop into this call?
Beautiful.
To find out their problem.
Beautiful. Do you remember what phase 2 is? What's phase 1 called? This is phase 1. What's phase 1 called?
phase 1 is label them with the problem.
Nope. Phase 1 is starts with a C.
Clarify.
Maybe, but that's not the word we use. I'm putting you on the spot. Trust me, no one else here knows it either. You're good. I'll give you a hint. Well, I'll just tell you what it is. Connection. Right? Connect. Hey, right? And the purpose of connection, and if you want to, further instill this in your head, look up Jeremy Miner NEPQ framework, 9 phases, and you can literally there's a image, a graphic which has a circle and the 9 phases around it. Make it your lock screen. Look at it every single day to understand the 9 phases and understand every single question that goes along with them. Okay? Once you can know that like the back of your hand, you can close anybody. Alright? Because let me ask you this: how are you going to close somebody? All right, how are you going to help somebody make a decision when you haven't given them a good enough reason to make a decision? Is that even possible?
No.
No, not technically it is, but not ideally, right? For example, if I said, hey, right, these mushroom pills are the cure to cancer. Do you want them? Omar, here you go. These are for you, okay? It costs a lot of money, okay? And you don't have cancer, okay? But here you go. Do you want them?
No.
Why? Why not? It's a cure to cancer. Why not?
Because I don't have that problem.
Beautiful. So how come we usually hop on sales calls and go, hey, thanks for being here. Here's my pitch deck. Huh? That's the equivalent of saying, here's the cure to cancer when you haven't made somebody realize they have cancer. Now, imagine if I had done some questioning, okay, and made you realize that, hey, how long had you been hurting? Oh, 3 months. Oh, do you know what that means? No. But that could be a sign of early cancer. Let's do some diagnosis, yada, yada, yada. Oh my goodness, Omar, you have cancer. Okay. Omar, you have cancer. You have 1 day to live. Now you want the cure to cancer. Costs a lot of money, though. It's expensive. Do you still want it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'll die tomorrow if I don't have it.
Now, this is a bit extreme. But if you can make your prospects feel like they're going to die tomorrow, if they don't buy your product or service, they will buy. It's extreme, but it's true. And so you have to give somebody a good enough reason to make change. You have to give somebody a good enough reason to make a decision. So we have to make them realize they have a problem, okay? Realize what the solution could be, realize how bad their life would be without it, and then also make them feel powerful enough to make a decision, make a change, and commit to actually doing something. Because everything else can be in line, but if you don't make them feel powerful and good enough that they can make a change, make a decision, they won't. Right? And so you have to make them feel like they're going to make the change and they're going to do it. Alrighty? Now, that was a lot. Okay? That is like a ton of literally hours and hours and hours of YouTube videos I've watched, hours and hours of trainings and courses and you name it, condensed into the last 17, 18 minutes here. Literally thousands of dollars in terms of value, in terms of courses, knowledge, etc. Okay? You might forget it, or rather said you can't apply it right now, which is fine, okay? Because it's not just a all of a sudden thing that happens, okay? It doesn't just all of a sudden whoopity-doo out of nowhere happen. It's a process that we have to learn, okay? And so you got to start learning sales, okay? And a lot of these other things that come with it. And this goes for all of you in here. Okay, it's a process. It's right. It's like we gotta start learning and doing our research. But more than anything, we can never get good at anything if we don't actually do it. Right? If you go up a bat, you swing one time, and you miss. It's not that you're bad. You just haven't had enough chances to prove that you're good. Okay, and so before even focusing on this stuff, focus on setting appointments. Okay, I know I don't know your real name, but Const. Okay, I was ripping you a new one this morning. Okay, and that's because, like I said, I've coached, consulted hundreds, heck, over 500 people at this point, okay? Multiple different industries, multiple different services, multiple different niches, you name it, right? And there's one common variable, and it's that the reason why most people fail is they let themselves get in their own way, right? Simply put, they let themselves get in their own way. But they start overthinking, oh, my YouTube, oh, my logo, my website, my blah, 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 blah. When the only thing that matters, when you're starting out especially, okay, is getting more clients. As a matter of fact, the only way to grow a business, there's only 2 ways to grow a business. There's only 2. Number 1, getting more clients, and number 2, making your current clients worth more. If you don't have current clients, you only have one option. And so you should ask yourself, what is the thing that I can do that could do this? And that's all you should do. Because that's the only thing that matters. Okay, and a lot of people have made you believe that, oh, you need to do this and this and this and this and this, and I get it. A lot of YouTubers out there, a lot of people out there saying you got to do this and this and this, and then you got to do this, and then you got to build a website and do this and blah blah. And you're just like, what do I do? Right? Information overload, right? When you pile up a bunch of storage, a bunch of shit on your desktop, right? Your RAM is going to start freaking out, and your computer's going to start lagging. The same way your brain's going to start freaking out if you information overload. Building a business is simple but not easy. To actually make money online is very simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's very simple. Get clients. There's a reason why so many idiots make so much more money than you. A lot of you guys are very intelligent. Very. I've spoken with some of you guys. Outside of the business space, y'all are very intelligent. Right? Whether you want to believe it or not. Truly, you are. But when it comes to business, you just flip out. I've seen literal retards, idiots, make more money in a month than teachers make in a year. Teachers are probably defined as smarter, so how come he's making more money? Because he's focusing on the thing that matters, right? And so it's why in the people that I currently consult, one of the biggest things I try and push to them is simplicity. Simplicity over anything, right? Fancy fails, simple scales. And it's very much true in every aspect of your life. Is that the more simplistic it can get, the easier it becomes. It's not as less to focus on. Life becomes a lot easier, okay? And so I know it's difficult because we as humans intrinsically want to go and move towards the shiny thing, right? We want to. We love that. Humans love that. To get to the new thing, right? The new opportunity. Yes. We love that. And we hate the boring work, right? We get bored easily. We're humans, right? I get that. I'm a human too. But that's where the money's made, right? That's where the money's made. And oftentimes most people, myself included, most of you in here, do something I like to call inventing things to do. You literally invent things to do anything but the thing you know you have to do, which is the one thing that will actually make you more money. And that's why most people are yet to make any money online, because they try and focus on everything else. And then they actually, there's a video I watched the other day, which talks about the 4 or 5 or 3 stages of behavioral change, right? Like what is, like, I'll pull it up so I can kind of explain it to you guys, but basically talking about behavioral change, and what are the phases. And it's something that, let me pull it up so I can share it with y'all, that when I read, I was like, whoa, this makes so much sense. And so let me pull it up here and I'll share it with you guys. So it says 5 stages. I think there's only like 4, which is number 1. The first stage in behavioral change, right, when you're making some sort of big change, is uninformed optimism, right? This is like, you heard of SMMA. Oh my goodness, what is SMMA? The grass is greener, new niche. Oh my goodness, this is awesome, right? Uninformed optimism. You're not really sure, but you're like, oh my goodness, this sounds exciting. Ready? Step number 2, right, second stage, is informed pessimism. It's not as cool as they thought. Man, this niche sucks. It's hard. It's this. It's that. It's boom, 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 boom. Stage number 3, okay, is where champions are made or lost, which is depression or determination. This is where most people switch niches, try a new business model, or do something else, because now it got hard, right? But that's normal. And so this is where you either get depressed and quit, or get determined and stick it out. And this is like where I said, is where champions are made or lost. Alrighty? And then phase number 4, okay, is restart or redeem. Either you restart and try something else and go through the same process every single time, or you redeem yourself and you stick it out and you reap the fruits of your labor. Alrighty? Now, I say all this to say that most of us get into a phase of the depression. Right? And then we quit. And we try something else. And then you get the gist. And then we go through this phase over and over and over again. Right? Man, the script doesn't work. Oh, but Thomas Gannett, his script is amazing. Let me try it. Right? You get uninformed pessimism. Grass is greener. They're like, man, this isn't as easy as I thought. People keep hanging up on me, right? And then you get depressed again. Oh man, this script sucks. Let me try again. That's normal. The problem is you just keep quitting after phase 3. Alrighty. Needless, I say all this to say that you can truly make money. You can. It's very much possible. The problem is most of you just focus on the wrong things. Just literally focus on the wrong things. And simplicity is key. And although it may feel boring, Stefan, what do you mean to say I only cold call? Yeah, only cold call. And do $500 every single day. It's hard. Yeah, I know it's hard. But did you want to make money or no? Yeah, I do. Okay, then do it. right? So yeah, it's gonna be boring. You're gonna feel like, what? Shouldn't I be doing more? No. You'll be like, is this it? Yeah. For now, at least. Until you sign 10 clients, right? And then you got to manage a team, hire, train, manage, lead, service clients, and all this other stuff. But for the time being, yeah, it's boring. But that's where the money's made. But most people just can't stick it out enough because it's boring, and they feel that it should be more exciting. And you wonder why so many people don't make money. There you go.